You're listening to the Otis Jiry channel.
TICKLEFINGERS by Adam KEARNEY. Narrated by Otis Jiry. When I was a boy, my papa would tuck me into bed, turn off the light, and then tell me, "Now stay in bed, you hear? If you're up and about during the night, Mr. TICKLEFINGERS will come and get you." Then, sometimes, if I appeared too alarmed at the thought, he would grab me and tickle me and make mocking, monstrous sounds as I laughed and squirmed. But when he shut the door and I lay down to sleep, his words would echo and amplify themselves in my young mind, which conjured visions of a beastly ghoul. I envisioned Mr. TICKLEFINGERS as a stooped, ancient man, the wrinkled folds of his jowls dangling to and fro as he moved. His eyes were beady and black beneath the brim of his battered top hat, and his jagged teeth were always blood red. But it was his fingers that truly scared me and kept me still in my bed throughout the night, fingers that tapped upon his round belly as he waited for his next victim. They were long and multi-jointed, able to independently move in all directions, and once they grabbed you, you were helpless, caught in his grasp, gasping for air as he coerced your last breaths from your body with those broken, bent digits. Such was my fear of him that I never once arose from my bed in the middle of the night. Were I to awake, I huddled up and kept my eyes closed, sure that Mr. TICKLEFINGERS was there, in the dark, in the corner of my room, his fingers patiently tapping upon his gut, just waiting for me to arise. I never took the chance. As I grew older, I left behind my childhood fears for more practical worries, and forgot all about Mr. TICKLEFINGERS. I had not thought of him in years until just last week. While I slept soundly as a child and a young man, the ravages of time and poor living have taken their toll upon me in recent years. I have grown fatter and consequently have trouble sleeping, often waking many times during the night, choking and wheezing. It was on one such night last week that I arose to fix myself a glass of water. I have become so sensitive in recent years that I cannot tolerate any light whatsoever when I sleep, so my house is entirely dark, lit only by occasional moonlight creeping in through the blinds over my windows. I have learned to navigate it without turning on the lights, as doing so generally ruins my chances at falling back asleep for a short while, until my eyes adjust once more to the darkness. So I was walking down the narrow hall which leads from my bedroom to the kitchen, feeling my way, when I heard a faint tapping sound from behind me. And for the first time in decades, Mr. TICKLEFINGERS sprang unbidden to the forefront of my thoughts. At first I laughed, fondly remembering my papa, who was always kind to me. But then I remembered the visage of the gruesome spectre who so often filled the dead hours of my youthful nights with dread. I shivered as I felt for the wall, and took another step, eager to slake my thirst and return to bed. And then I realized I was still laughing. A sudden, sharp pain made me double over as I clenched at my sides, and in my mind's eye I could see his gnarled fingers moving upon me. I felt his bloody breath upon the nape of my neck as I tried to steady myself to no avail. I fell to the floor, howling with laughter and terror. Tears streamed down my cheeks as my laughter quickened. I felt this great weight pressing upon me, heard the pucker of his lips as he sucked the breath from my lungs. I rolled over onto my stomach and tried to crawl as his knobby fingers prodded me. I knew the light switch was but a few feet more. If I could rise and reach it, at least I could face my assailant. With a great guffaw, I heaved forward, choking and gasping as I giggled, until, with one last push, I found the switch and turned on the light. finally free of the smoldering laughter. I panted, hyperventilating as I looked around at the empty hall. I have since realized that it is much like when one tells you not to think of an elephant, and you cannot help but picture one. So it is with Mr. Ticklefingers. In my childhood, I avoided him by staying in bed out of his reach. Later, I forgot him entirely, robbing him of the power to visit me. It was only when I remembered him that night that he struck. Now, I do not rise from bed, no matter the disturbance to my sleep. Perhaps it was all in my mind, and I did it to myself, I think. An aging man giving in to delusion. It does not matter. I can no more keep him from my thoughts than I could keep from laughing in his grasp. And when I wake, snoring myself out of my slumber, there he is again, in the shadows, waiting for me to rise. I am certain of it. So I bid you to sleep well, and should you wake in the middle of the night, or hear a strange tap-tap-tapping sound behind you, try not to think of this story. If you do, try not to laugh. You may not be able to stop.